Good morning, everybody. So history is something that used to happen to most people, right? The people who had the power to shape history were the kings and the generals and the robber barons of our past. They had the information, they had the resources, and they had the tools to drive change. But not anymore. More and more people are now harnessing a power that will enable them to create a shared global future for all of us, the ability for us to create our own history. And you might say, well, what is driving this change? What's different? I would ask each of you to sort of reach into your bag or your pocket and pull out your cell phone. This phone is 1,000,000 times cheaper and 1,000 times faster than the supercomputers of the 1970s. It is more powerful than the computer that we used to land the human species on the moon. Human beings now create 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day. 90% of the world's data has been created in just the last 2 years. So if the world feels like it's speeding up a little bit, that's because it is. Any technology or any tool that becomes an information technology, that becomes digitized, is riding the exponential curve of Moore's law. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Moore's law. It was an observation made in 1965 that the price-performance value of semiconductors would double every 12 to 18 months. And that has essentially held true since then. And it has enabled a new set of technologies that are just now really coming to fruition, that are revolutionizing the world as we know it. Things like robotics, artificial intelligence, augmented and virtual reality, the blockchain, sensing, synthetic biology. All of these things are riding the exponential curve of Moore's law. Now, exponential trends are hard for us to grasp. We're intuitively linear thinkers. If you asked me to take 30 linear paces, you and I both have a pretty good idea about where I would end up, right? I would end up about 30 meters from where I started, somewhere out in the lobby, probably. But if you asked me to take 30 exponential paces that double in distance with each pace, do you have a good idea about where I would be after 30 doublings? You might guess I would be down on the street, or I might be over at the Shed Aquarium. But the truth is that I would have gone over 1 billion meters. I would have gone 26 times around the planet Earth. And the point at which I would have been halfway would have been on the 29th step. What that means is that these exponential trends are deceptively flat for a very long time, and then they shoot up right at the end. And we're at a place called the knee of the curve right now for a series of technologies that people have been working on for decades, but that are just now becoming visibly taking off. And let's use digital photography for an example. It's something that everybody can relate to. So the digital camera was invented in 1975 at Eastman Kodak. It was a 0.01 megapixel camera that weighed 8 pounds, right? But the quality doubled and then doubled again, and the size shrunk and kept shrinking, and the price came down. And then once it came out of its deceptive phase, it happened quickly, and it overtook the market. And we now have the newest iPhone, which has a 12 megapixel camera with a wide angle and a telephoto lens in a size of the camera that's like the size of my thumbnail, essentially. So all of these new exponential tools are really enabling people around the world to create and grow and collaborate. People now have access to information that they never had before. They have access to knowledge sharing and problem solving, right? And with these tools, more and more people will be able to solve many of the grand challenges, working together with all these exponential tools, all the grand challenges that we know exist, that we could just list off the top of our heads. Things like water scarcity, income inequality, food insecurity, gender inequality, wildlife destruction, climate change, and more. As the crowd grows that actually has access to these tools and to this information, what we can do is harness them through something that we call the prize competition model at XPRIZE. And another thing that's allowing this to happen, that is allowing the crowd to now start to tackle all of these sorts of grand challenges, is that the democratization of technology has already started to reach more people than ever before. Educational access, opportunities, health access are all scaling and becoming more accessible at a rate that's hard for us to imagine just a few years ago. Take the blockchain, for example. The blockchain is, as you probably know, a secure distributed database that's used as a public ledger. It's currently used for banking, but it will soon be used for things like land rights and voter identity, right? And as more and more of these people are becoming online and able to access the blockchain, able to access digital health, digital medicine, the world is changing significantly. Land rights will shift. Voter identity will shift. Digital medicine will leapfrog doctors and reach places that are remote, where doctors don't reach currently. Digital education will be able to overcome the scarcity of schools and teachers who can't possibly scale at the rate that we need them to. We will be able to leverage big data and human AI collaboration to find patterns and solve problems that we could never even see before. So how do we really get this crowd to participate with us? How do we get the crowd to solve problems through our prize competition model? Well, here at XPRIZE, we have something that we call a massive transformative purpose. It's our mission. And it's to build a bridge to abundance for all. And that's not just a material abundance or a world without scarcity, where everyone's needs are met, but it's actually an abundance of opportunity and possibility. This bridge is a nice-looking bridge. It's one that I want to walk across. It's one that we think about every day doing the work that we do at XPRIZE. The Ansari XPRIZE was won in 2004. It was for suborbital spaceflight, kicked off the private spaceflight industry. We have since awarded prizes in medical sensing, ocean health, space technologies, and transportation. We have active prize competitions in global learning, adult literacy, human AI collaboration, carbon reuse, autonomous ocean mapping, lunar exploration, and digital health. Teams come from around the world to compete to solve the challenges that we set. They're enabled to do this because of this growth in exponential technologies. I'll give you just a couple of examples. Our Adult Literacy XPRIZE, which we launched last summer, 2015, was designed to challenge teams to develop mobile software solutions for adults, in fact 36 million adults in the US alone, who read at or below a third grade reading level. Teams around the world from 15 countries, 109 teams, this year alone have spent collectively 250,000 hours developing mobile solutions for that demographic, something only 2 companies previously were focused on. Or take our Global Learning XPRIZE, which is underwritten by Elon Musk and tackles solutions for kids who don't have any access to schools or countries in low-income countries, and will enable them to teach themselves how to read, write, and do basic math. We have 135 teams from 33 countries, including Gambia, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, and Uganda. These teams are working on problems that for them are intensely local and critically global. And in partnership with them, we are expediting a world in which every child, no matter where she's born, will have access to a world-class education in the palm of her hand. Now, while we've always harnessed the crowd to compete in our prizes, we've now started harnessing the crowd to actually design our prizes. About 5 months ago, we started an experiment. Oh, I'm a few slides behind there. There we go. 5 months ago, we started an experiment where we reached out to entrepreneurs, to change makers, to subject matter experts, students, and innovators to crowdsource our own prize design work. And we got 9 teams together. We recruited 9 teams, each sponsored by their own sponsoring organization, ranging from Lowe's, Home Improvement, to Caterpillar, to Deloitte Consulting, to the Roddenberry Foundation. And we asked them to bring new ideas and diverse perspectives to our own design work, because we know that the smartest people in the world don't work for us, right? They're somewhere out there. We could harness them and help us design better prizes. And over the last 5 months, those 9 teams designed 9 competitions in the time that it ordinarily would have taken us to design 1. So basically, the work that we used to do in-house, it was basically my job, right, is now being crowdsourced, and they're doing it faster and better, exponentially, than we could do on our own. These 9 groups we're calling Visioneers. And they're designing prizes in areas from cancer, to water, to housing, to ALS, to food, to avatars, to empathy. And this past weekend in Southern California, we actually brought together 300 entrepreneurs and public leaders, philanthropists and change makers to mentor these 9 teams, to give them feedback on their designs, actually help them make their designs stronger so that we can take them forward to launch. I'll give you guys a couple cool examples of what they've designed. We have a team sponsored by Lowe's Home Improvement that will ask innovators around the world to overcome the challenge of specific geometry in synthetic biology so that we can disrupt the construction industry and actually begin to grow homes that are sustainable and self-healing and make us well. We had a team sponsored by the Roddenberry Foundation that asks innovators to leverage augmented and virtual reality to scale the teaching of empathy on a grand scale so that we can overcome what Barack Obama has called our empathy deficit. And we had a team from Caterpillar design an amazing competition for innovators to develop integrated assistive technologies for mobility, manipulation, communication, and respiration for patients with ALS, and then after that for patients with other degenerative diseases. The story of XPRIZE, the story of the XPRIZE model, and of each of these competitions that these teams designed is really a story of empowerment. Empowerment to be a change maker, to be a solver in the world. To stand up and say, I can participate in solving the challenges that I see before me. People like everybody in this room, right? We can harness the 7.5 billion people on this planet with these exponential technologies at their fingertips, and we can harness people like you. You are our potential designers, our potential solvers, our potential supporters. This model only works when people engage with it. And we've had people engage from around the world, and they will continue to engage. People with passion and drive, people who want to take a leap with us, people who know that you no longer have to wait for someone else to write your history. We can write it ourselves. Thank you.